Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Friday, a degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, we've got Mike Lubie Lubitz ready to go. Luca Panici Lubitz is sleeping for the time being, so we got a shot here. This is going to join us about 8:30. I'll have a big board, no doubt, some in-depth analysis on the Miami Hurricanes, which you have to give the professor credit. He's not one to sit there and become overwhelmingly biased just because he has the possibility of picking up a substantial five-figure score if the Hurricanes prevail over Indiana, a possibility that not many people are acknowledging. Lubie, straight up win. Question seems to center around, is 8.5 a generous enough allotment of points to go ahead and get you to break out the wallet, maybe even subscribe? Andy tried to get me to subscribe to the Hard Rock app yesterday. Is this happening among a lot of people? Now, I know Andy's intentions were good because he just wanted to facilitate, well, a couple of things I would imagine he was trying to accomplish there. He wanted to facilitate my ability to make bets on sports, which I don't do a lot of.
It's not a big sport better. You like talking about it more than you actually do it.
I love analyzing it. I mean, I've always thought it was a tremendous analytical angle, and we're seeing this more and more because the deeper and the evolution of really sort of infinitesimal statistical data, stuff that you normally wouldn't consider. They're even making up stats. I mean, what is DVOA? I mean, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. I've always thought it was a lot easier just to, and this applies to scouting and analyzing what players might be good. Just watch them play. Mike McDaniel should take a look at that instead of sitting there and having some math genius. Just look out there on the field. Hey, you see that A-Chain just ran for 28 yards, breaking 3 tackles and eluding 3 others? I might give the ball to him again.
Yeah.
It's possible. Instead of running some flea flicker off a Statue of Liberty that involves a quarterback that's taken 3 snaps in his NFL career. Come on, Mike. Just watch him play. Amazing how many times people have whiffed on draft picks because you watch the kid play in college. Look at Anthony Richardson, for example. You were screaming. If you knew this, now, the professor, an astute observer of college football, not that you aren't, Lubie, but you're more of a casual fan than you would be
I don't know him.
kind of a statistical analyst, no?
Not him. Well, look, it's business for him. He handicaps a lot, and he usually, I mean, this new world's hard to handicap, but until everything went to hell, was an elite handicapper. I still think he is. I just don't know how you handicap any of this. So he's on another level than me. I watch it. I enjoy it. I have an idea. He like zones in and hones in on stuff. He's a guy I go to, put it that way. When I want to figure out something, I'm like, so what was this?
Opinion to be respected, no doubt about it. Right or wrong, still the logic is there. But with this overwhelming influence and infusion of statistics and analytics and sabermetrics and all of this other stuff that goes into trying to figure out who's good and who's not, I still rely on the eye test. If I watch a guy and I say, wow, that guy can really play, it was kind of like, and we've had some proven results in this regard. I remember you arguing with me. You were claiming that one year, I hate to keep going back to this because it might have been the only time I was right.
Yeah.
But, I remember watching the 11 and 30 Heat that season several years back when they had a bunch of seeming journeymen kind of grouped together there out of what seemed to be a failed concept by Pat Riley. Now it later came back to haunt them that they did so well, but I remember being on the air several days and weeks in a row where you were screaming, the Heat suck, the Heat suck, the Heat suck. And I remember thinking, you know what I'm watching is a team that isn't nearly as bad as the record would indicate. Yeah. And you saw signs of life because you were watching them play. And sure enough, they end up going 30-11 the rest of the way, going 500. And unfortunately for Pat Riley, he got duped into thinking that Dion Waiters was worth the money. And
yes.
Which Johnson was it that it wasn't the big Johnson? Which Johnson was it?
James Johnson.
He gave all these guys big fat contracts, and unfortunately they got big and fat, which can happen. And maybe you didn't have championship caliber players, but you had guys at one time that were really going to hustle. But if I could see that, Lubie, you would think that some of these analytical guys might be able to detect it. But I don't know that you can only do this strictly by mathematics. And while these bookmakers have been crunching numbers forever, and Is it just a given, Luby, that it's going to come out on the number? You put enough numbers into a computer.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, look out. We've said it forever. If the line makers were running the country, do you think we'd be having ICE people in the streets of Minneapolis right now? No, everybody would be happy. Mortgage
Exactly.
payments would be the lowest they've ever been. Interest rates would be like 1%. The economy would be booming. We wouldn't have to be relying on tariffs and all this other nonsense. By the way, too, I had this conversation. Have you ever seen a time where every day
I'm presuming he's coming right back. Hold on. One and all. I mean, that was the greatest tease ever. I was like, what do you mean?
but every day, just multiple chaotic incidents
Yes,
where you're outraged.
every day. Every day. When no one's asked for any of it. It's all stuff no one wants too. It's never like in the realm of any of the stuff anyone wanted. That's always like
I just keep asking myself this about this whole thing in Minneapolis and all of the other incidents of this stuff. Are criminals just running the streets of Minneapolis? They're just trying to figure out what kind of new application of walleye they can
yes.
invent so that they can vary what it is that they're eating to sustain themselves during the 10 months of winter that they have to deal with. I don't remember when you were there. Did you see any criminals running down the streets?
I'm not
Didn't even
trying.
trust the scalpers when they gave us that ticket that we had to have on our phone. And I'm thinking, I've never done that where I didn't walk away with like at least 2 tickets in my hand.
Yeah, no, I mean that was a strange experience, which I guess it exists still, but whenever I go to games, I still get tickets. But I don't remember being that. That's why it's funny to me, and funny is not the right word, but that's why it's strange to me that this is happening in Minneapolis of all places. And I get it now. I'm realized they have a Somalian presence, but we were there, and you'd heard about it before. It's not very diverse. Like
Oh,
our skin color is very predominant there.
you may as well be in Scandinavia for God's
And we
sake.
were in Minneapolis. We were in Minneapolis. Like
Yes,
that's where we were.
walking
And
around the city,
we got
feeling
around as much
totally
as you
safe.
could get around because it's -30.
Yeah.
But like it was again a lot of us. So when I'm seeing this, I'm like, that's what I mean. I would think you'd go to Little Havana or you'd go to
I don't remember being there.
I
Do
don't think
you?
it was Minneapolis. Like
But if these guys aren't walking down the streets with ski masks on and guns drawn and canisters of tear gas and pepper spraying everybody, I mean, are any of these protests actually happening? Seems like a situation that was created by an excess of whatever this force is being. Look, if they want to get rid of guys that have committed murders and things like that, okay. I don't know that anybody's opposed to that, but are these guys really running the streets?
no, they're not doing that. They're getting rid of able-bodied, good, mostly legal, obedient residents. Like that's what they're just getting rid of people like you and me that just want to work and live like they're going into kids' houses and grabbing teenagers that are playing video games. It's like which is not legal in any world. There's no world you could have committed a murder that's still not legal, and these kids have done nothing wrong. Like and they're legal. It's just
Called create your own chaos. The old
Bingo.
diversion tactic. Yeah, just
Bingo.
create chaos, and from that emerges more chaos. Unfortunately,
Yes, 100%. That's what they want.
absolutely insane. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like this on a consistent basis, though. Usually, I mean, the big news would be, hey, the president approves of the new stamp there. Muhammad Ali is going to be on the stamp.
100%. It's never anything. You don't know what's going on. I never pay attention to any of it. I missed it. I missed that. Like not knowing what's going on.
Nice, peaceful times. Even if we're being duped, it still was better
whatever.
than what's going on here. And people in sports constantly dupe themselves now with all of this mathematical data. Because the simple eye test is look out on the field there and see who's playing well and what kind of players you're getting. And there's not enough of that going on. Am I dead wrong on that, Lubie? Being old school? I sure like just observing what's actually happening more so than coming to conclusions based on math. When I see Mike McDaniel, or when we did see him, just looking at that chart the entire time, the fourth quarter's there, right? You're down 2 points, your team is driving, and the guy never looks at the field. Come on, Mike, look up once in a while. Just put your head up and go, oh, look at that. My left tackle can't block his grandmother, and I need to make some kind of adjustment. That would help a lot more than having some guy go, well, you know what, here, 39% of the time, if you go for this and you use a running play that goes to the outside, forget all that. There's no time for all that. But all that being said, you couldn't ask for much more in terms of anticipating a great weekend, and it's going to stretch into Monday. 2 games on Saturday in the National Football League to decide who goes to the conference championship games, and then, of course, the national championship game right here in our hometown at Hard Rock Stadium, where the University of Miami have they established themselves. I mean, you would have to say they've achieved at least a level of relevance that we haven't seen here for quite some time. Is that a fair statement, Lubie? Win or lose in this
Oh
game?
yeah, they're in the championship game. They haven't been in a championship game since 2000, the 2002 season, 2003 year.
Yeah.
In 2003 was the last time they were in a championship, or I guess it was 2 weeks earlier in 2003 because we didn't have 12 rounds of playoffs and moving the championship to May. But this was the last time that they were in a championship game. I mean, that's not the only thing that makes you relevant. Obviously, like if they had year in year out made it to New Year's Day bowls, as we used to call them, that would be relevant. But since they weren't doing that at all, to make a loud pronouncement of being in the championship game, yes, that is as relevant as it gets. They are at the center of the sport. I guess they're being disrespected. I mean, to me, one team's undefeated and it just throttled its last 2 opponents. The other team lost to 2 teams that were average and just got by. I know Canes fans are, well, they dominated. They should. I don't want to hear should have, because whenever I say that, people make fun of me. Should have doesn't matter. The opponent had a chance to win in all 3 games at the end of the game. All 3 games, the opponent was driving the field with a chance to win, yes, and Miami found a way to win, and that's fine. But that's why people are framing this game the way they are. Like, if you watch the roads, and again, the Canes did face a tougher test. Well, they were the 10th seed. When you're the 1 seed, you get an easier test. Like, that's how sports work. They still dominated the two opponents, yep, left them for dead. However it happened, and the Canes, they didn't struggle. The Canes won the games, but they were closer games. So that's where, and one team's undefeated and one team's had 2 losses. Like, that's just where we are. And I know Canes fans, look, that's what is going to work in the Canes' benefit. The disrespecting. Athletes always love disrespected. We're disrespected. You're in a title game. I mean, how disrespected could you be?
Exactly. Well, the 8.5 not only reflects the odds makers who installed them originally as 7.5 point dogs, but the bettors, and maybe this is Indiana money coming through. Maybe Mark Cuban made a big wager, influenced the point spread, but it seems to be hanging pretty steady now at 8 and a hook. So the bettors looked at that 7.5 and thought that was a very generous assessment of what was going to happen in this game. And 8.5 is a really tough number. I would be inclined to take the points and figure that the Hurricanes are in there with a shot, at least a reasonable shot. I don't know what percentage you would put on it to win the game outright, because you're wondering also under the glass slipper principle, whose luck is about to run out, Lubie? Is it the Hurricanes, like you said, who have fought their way into this position by beating some significant opposition? It wasn't like they had to mow down 3 very impressive teams.
Top 10 teams. I mean, Ole Miss was flirted with the top 10 all year. By the end, they were consistently top 10, and the other 2 were top 5 all year. I mean, Texas A&M and Ohio State were considered, especially halfway through the year, to be number 1, number 2, number 3 teams in the country. No, their road was very difficult, and they got through it, and it's impressive what they've done.
And they played 3 games, 3 tough games. Indiana now, after sitting out a week, which we saw is a huge disadvantage, or has been, the bye week for the teams in the college football playoff under the current format. They had an horrendous record and just straight up victories, wins and losses. And that improved a little bit because it was, well, what? I mean, this is a relatively new system, so I'm not sure how much credibility you can attach to it, but they were 0-4 there, right? 0-5 before, I forget who it was that broke through. Was it Oregon? No, broke through and won off a bye. And
Indiana.
Indiana went off a bye, and Oregon also went off a bye.
Oregon went off a bye. Okay, I don't know if Oregon was a top 4 seed.
Were they? Yeah, weren't they?
No, Oregon. Remember, Oregon played with Ole Miss and beat one of the crap teams.
Okay.
Ole Miss beat like Tulane, and Oregon beat James Madison. So yes, it was like a bye. Right. They weren't going to lose. Remember, people were questioning they didn't win big enough. They were beating the crap out of James Madison all game, and then James Madison flirted with them at the end, and I don't even know if they covered in the end. Like, yeah, they didn't have a bye.
They didn't cover the spread.
Is the first team in, what is it, 2 years we're doing this?
Yeah.
That has won on the bye. The only team that's won on the bye.
All right. So it's kind of interesting. That being said, they get Alabama, which was a team that many considered
Yeah, they should have been there.
unworthy of being in the Final 12. And then very, very impressive in their last outing against Oregon, which had given a pretty good account of itself in the previous ball game. 8.5 points. Is that insulting?
It's a
Is that
lot.
around a number? I
It's a
mean,
lot. I don't see this being a blowout per se, but I do think it's indicative of what the game is on paper. What is it going to be on the field? I don't know. The Canes have a really good pass rush. If you see a pass rush get going, it's not like Fernando Mendoza's seen that all year. So who knows what you're going to see from him.
he's very adept at stepping up in the pocket, though.
I think, no, I'm not giving my thoughts. I'm talking about why the game could not be a blow, right? Or why it should be a good game, why it should be competitive. The Canes,
it probably will be.
advantages the Canes do have, like, it's not an advantage. I'm saying the things the Canes have that could work to keep this game close, if not win the game, like the pass rush. Then on offense, the run game has been working really well, and they've been smart enough to stick with the run game when it's working well. Now, the reason it's 8.5 is Fernando Mendoza is really good against pressure. Like, he actually excels against pressure because what he does is use it against you, and now guys are just running free, and you see it quite often with the Surratt kid and then the other kid. Like they have a good in sync where they know, okay, like they're doing the thing that NFL teams usually have when you have the star quarterback and the star receiver that it's like, okay, you can't stop Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's annoying, like Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, Jerry Rice and Steve Young. Like, they have that. Like, Mendoza with his receivers have a really good connection, which is weird for guys that just got together this year. Like, so that they have a good pass rush, but Mendoza doesn't care about a pass rush. Like, he excels against pass rush. So we'll see which one wins. Yes, is really running the ball really well. Indiana's second best against the run in the country. So
they only gave up 11 points a game on average.
It's hard to see them just letting you run draws. Now, might be able to run the ball, might be able to move the ball, but the draw crap that has been working that usually doesn't work, it feels like that probably won't work against Indiana. Now, again, could it? Yes. So 8.5 to me seems large, but like you say, they've nailed it on the head because I think it explains what we've seen to this point from both of these teams.
Yeah, by the eye test, I don't know that you can discount Miami because you just don't know. The glass slipper principle I was alluding to, maybe somebody's luck runs out.
Yes. Oh, well, someone is.
Those has been sensational. I've always been a big fan of accuracy. You know that, Lubie. Even when you considered boxing and called a lot of boxing matches, and I was always impressed. One of the most accurate punchers that we ever saw was Floyd Mayweather Jr. He didn't throw a lot, especially later in his career, but what he did throw, he landed.
Yes.
He wasn't one of these guys who was going to throw 100 punches around. Now, he got a little lame about that, and the bouts turned out to be wildly boring. Can you be wildly boring? No, just insanely boring.
Yes.
And he made a lot of money towards the end of his career. But early on, one of the things that was very impressive, I remember calling his fight here in South Florida when he fought Angel Manfredi, and you thought, my God, the guy doesn't miss. And that's been the case with Mendoza. I mean, it's the same reason that I am a fan of batting average as a barometer in Major League Baseball, which oddly nobody cares about anymore, as we see, because you'll reward some 220. Remember when Kingman was hitting like 220 and he was banging out all these home runs? And
people made fun of him.
Would use disparaging references and say, well, yeah, guy's a 220 hitter.
Yeah, now that guy's an MVP candidate.
Now that guy's a $50 million ball player.
Teams are falling over themselves to sign that guy.
Is that also, I mean, due to all of this influence of analytics? How can analytics ignore accuracy?
It's annoying that's the funny thing is, like, average you think would fit right in with analytics.
Yes.
No, the analytics you would think analytics would push for more, like, all the stuff we grew up, contact, eye on the ball, get on the base pass. No, it's weird. The analytics push for boom or bust, home runs or walks. Like, it doesn't.
The guy goes 1 for 6 with a home run, and it's considered a good ball game.
That's what it pushes for, which is freaking weird, but that's what the game is, and it's all analytics.
Yeah, there are certain guys that make it work, like Schwarber, who hits his 50-some-odd home runs, but also walks 100 times.
He's also gotten better at the strikeouts. Like, he's average.
And he became a much more valuable commodity, I think, last year, which paid off for him. because instead of hitting 172, he hit like 240 or something like that. Which you're not asking for much in that regard. Now we know as athletes get better, maybe some of these statistical valuations will change. 300 used to be the benchmark. Now you had what in one league? You had did you have any 300 hitters? One or
This
two?
year?
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
Judge didn't Judge have like 340. Judge
Judge
hit
was
like some
great.
stupid
That's
number.
why I thought he deserved the MVP
Judge, and
over
then
Cal Raleigh because even though Raleigh had a few more home runs,
he had a
Judge
better
hit like 330 for God's sake
yes, he
while
had
he
a
was.
better all around year.
So yeah, I mean, for whatever reason,
You
accuracy.
had in all of baseball, which makes me sad and sick to my stomach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. You had 7 players in the entire sport hit 300 or better. You had 6 hit over 300.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy. And Judge was the only one to hit over 311. The only one in all of the sport. You would have tons of guys hitting 320, 330, 315, 310. It's I know average isn't the same.
Even Louis Arias couldn't do it this year.
No, he's nowhere to be found in this. Like that's
second coming to Tony Gwynn.
92. Like even the guy that was doing it isn't even doing it. Like yeah, it's weird.
Mendoza though is acutely accurate.
Very, very much.
Passing.
And he has a good arm, and it's why he shot up the draft charts, and it's why he'll probably be a decent pro. I just don't know what to do with him because he's 23 playing against kids, and he's
okay
for 4 years, so it's fine. Yeah. I just don't know how to translate it to the pros. I don't know what he'll be in the pros, but in college, he's scary to face right now. Like
you see, this guy is he's a quarterback. He's been in college ball for 7 years.
Oh, TJ Finley.
Yeah.
He's on like his
he
ninth.
Signed with what is that? Incarnate, whatever that is.
Incarnate Word. I think the one
that's really a college. That's
Cam Ward came from there before he went to Washington State, and then UM.
Where the hell is it? Incarnate World.
Don't ask me. I've sort of heard it because of like this. Like you'll have guys transfer from there and become pretty good. So that's why I've heard of it. I don't know where it is.
It was a team like Athletes in Action. Remember when a bunch of sort of guys that weren't eligible anymore? Ralph Drollinger was one of those guys. Ralph Drollinger, the former, the splinter from UCLA that was a center there. He followed, unfortunately, in a line of centers that were just absolutely amazing. I mean, you're following Kareem and Walton, and then all of a sudden you got Ralph Drollinger. Get the hell out of here, right? Ben Nader was a backup on that team. Not Drollinger, but and then all of a sudden you'd see the guy surface in some exhibition playing a current college and Athletes in Action were touring. I thought that's what Incarnate World was, Lubie. One of those. I didn't realize there was a school. Shows you how out of touch I am. All right. Well, anyway, it's going to be very enjoyable on Monday night. Well, we'll have some more steam on that with the professor coming up.
I'll get into it.
Get some in-depth analysis here. But to the professor's credit, as I started to say before, he is not influenced by the fact that he's about to make a big score. So I don't think you'll hear him ranting and raving about how the Hurricanes are any cinch in this ballgame. And plus, you wouldn't want to necessarily jinx yourself. All right. We have a huge weekend of NFL football on tap. My second favorite weekend of the NFL playoff season is this one. I love the wild card week because you have a lot of games, even more so now. I mean, it used to be you'd play 4 games and then come back with 4 more. Now you play 6 games and come back with 4 more.
Yep.
And all of these games, literally, like is throw a dart at them. No, especially when you factor in the point spread, Louie. Is there any game that you're looking at that with certainty you will say, I'm convinced that this team will win and cover? That Broncos line flipped. It turns out now Seattle, who's laying 7 to the 49ers, has listed Sam Darnold on the injury list. Questionable, Lubie.
I was already leaning Niners, as you know, and this just emboldens me more.
Wow. What does that do to you? Or is that some bogus thing that was just floated out there?
No, I mean, they're not the Patriots where Brady was always on the injured report no matter what. Like the whole team was just on the injured report just to screw with you.
Belichick was on the injured list.
I think with Darnold, he's had injury stuff in the past. Like it feels like, yeah, he'll play through it because he's a tough dude, but
popped up out of nowhere though. This literally
not great. You don't want that. The Niners have been playing good football. Like you don't want that.
No. Brock Purdy looked pretty good in this last ball game.
Yeah, he looked really good.
7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Unbelievable. Was he Mr. Irrelevant? I think he was.
Was Mr. Irrelevant, yes.
The last guy picked? Unbelievable.
I think he's been as good as any quarterback in that class.
You ask yourself this: if you're observing the Patriots, had they, if the Dolphins, do you need some balls to be successful? Yes, you would have to say yes.
Of course.
If the Dolphins weren't so soft and brought Mike McDaniel back for another year, would they have had a shot to hire Mike Vrabel? And could Mike Vrabel have done anything close to what he's done with the Patriots?
I don't
Had he
know,
been
but
given the Dolphins roster and the Dolphins front office and their whole situation?
the Dolphins didn't have Drake May, who clearly was a talented kid. Like that, people are acting like Drake May was drafted in the 5th round. Like Drake May was drafted like what, second? Wasn't he second or third? Third, right? Because it was Jaden Daniels and I forgot who the other one was. Caleb Williams. It was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and then Drake May. He was a top 3 pick, and people liked him a lot. He just a lot of the stuff that very physically talented quarterbacks do, he did. He holds on the ball a long time. He took a lot of chances, but he could run. He had a strong arm. He was actually pretty accurate. He just did a lot of things that are tough habits to work out. Again, Jameis, there's a long list of very talented quarterbacks that have not made it as great in the league because of these tendencies. He's either gotten rid of them or he's held them in check or whatever, but the Dolphins don't have that. So I don't know if he could have made the Dolphins a 12-win team, but yes, you would think he would have made them more than a 5-win team. Like he's clearly a pretty decent coach.
Yeah, what'd they win? They won 7 this year, the Miami Dolphins? 7? What are they? 7 and 10? Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well, he would have made them more than 7. They probably would have won 8 or 9. I mean, he would have been worth another 1 or 2, you would think.
Maybe. He certainly did a great job there. And another guy that we owe a sincere apology to, because coming into the season, I remember it wasn't really disparaging because I didn't know what Mike Vrabel was going to do. There was tremendous optimism surrounding the New England Patriots. Most people, what their number before the year was like 8 and a hook.
It was like, yeah, they were going to be better, not great, but that step before the next year doing something like this.
Yeah. But what happens in this game against the Houston Texans? Just a wild toss-up for me. I did have Houston in a little parlay there. It's already up in smoke because I tied them to Georgia instead of the Hurricanes. How stupid of a move was that? Imagine you'd be sitting in a pretty good situation from the buyout standpoint. If your goal was just to get a generous buyout, which is now another strategy, just put yourself in a position where you have a chance to make a score. So if you had the Hurricanes and they do win the national championship, you're already in with a 20-1 shot if you had done this before the postseason. And if the Texans beat the Patriots, all of a sudden they find themselves in a conference championship game, and they would be in there clearly with a hell of a shot in a wide open situation in terms of postseason, both NFC and AFC. I would imagine there would be a pretty generous offering, even though you would have had to. I mean, would the bookmakers just look at that and go, you know what? Minnesota doesn't have a shot in hell of winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Especially, I don't know. Did they win it just in defiance of the ice people?
That Georgia lost because your Texans thing is hanging decently strong.
Has a legitimate chance, does it not? I don't know. Who do you see emerging in that spot? We talked about this all week long, but
I lean Texans because the Patriots defense is playing really well, but the Texans defense has just been this good all year long. I think it's the number 1 defense in the league. And yes, Stroud is coming off 5 fumbles, so you would hope that means he doesn't do it again. So I don't know. I think it should be a tough game. 2 good defenses, 2 young quarterbacks, but I lean Texans. I just think their defense is a little bit better. And D'Amico Ryans has done a really good job. And I get it, Vrabel's done a good job this year, but D'Amico Ryans has been there a few years now, and he's done consistently won with his team. And again, like we've talked about, the AFC is sort of wide open. Like the Bills are the only team we thought at the beginning of the year would be there. And
they may not be there after this week themselves.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I lean Texans. I think they're very evenly matched teams, but I think the Texans have been there before this group. They were in the playoffs last year or the last 2 years, I think. So, and they've won playoff games. So yeah, I lean Texans. I think they're just a little bit better and a little bit more experienced.
I wouldn't discount. Obviously, they're favored in this game, the Patriots, because I happened to zero in on a bunch of Patriot football due to my friend Jimmy Walker, who's a big Patriot fan, and is the kind of Patriot fan that on the walk, if he's doing it by himself, you know what he's got on his headset?
WEI.
WEEI. He's listening to WEI all day long. Things that Christian Fournier said years ago, although I don't think Christian Fournier is still involved with WEEI.
I don't think so.
A new wave of talent.
I think it's a whole new group, though, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I watched a little more intently Patriot football than I normally would have. Although, look, they're in the AFC, and you're going to see them twice a year against the Dolphins. But I can't discount them. I think what they did during the season has been impressive enough. Vrabel seems to have ignited a spark with these guys, and That game's a tough one. I don't know. I'd be inclined to take the points with Houston since we gave them a shot to win the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't discount what's going on. Ken.
We're gonna bring him on because he's hanging out. And we're talking NFL. He can talk NFL.
Yeah, as soon as we get to the Patriots, Ken's hair started standing up like Don King here. I mean, look at this guy. He got irate. What's happening, Professor? How are you, my friend?
What's up, boys?
What's going on, Ken?
Doing all right. I mean, we're all really excited. We're curious to get your assessment here. I know you will be unbiased in spite of the capital influence that you have going in the Hurricanes game against Indiana. So curious to get your opinion on that. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on any of these pro games off the top of your head, or you just
look? I mean, if unlike Monday night, CJ Stroud doesn't try to actively fix the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That might have been, not necessarily in terms of awfulness, but just in terms of stupidity. The single worst game I've ever honestly, the guy looked like he was actively trying to keep Pittsburgh in that game. But no, I gotta agree with you. If the Texans defense plays the way they did Monday night, you gotta certainly like them. I think Seattle's gonna win. The 7 might be a little tricky. I mean, the San Francisco offense has been very good. And then I guess really your main concern with Seattle is the Sam Darnold game going to pop up? Is this going to be the day where he throws 3 interceptions in the red zone? But I do think Seattle will win the game. And I want to pick the Rams, but the Chicago Bears are freaking vampires at this point. You gotta cut off their heads and stick a wooden stake through Caleb Williams' heart to get them to die. So I guess that's also one I guess you're gonna have to look the weather with this cold front moving through. If it's 40 degrees down here, it might be like -30 in Chicago with 75-mile-an-hour winds come Sunday night. And then Buffalo and Denver. I've not believed in Denver all year long, so it's tough for me to buy in here. But through the first round, defense really was what sort of showed up and made the difference in a bunch of games. And in that case, you'd have to look at Denver. That was kind of coin toss to me. I'm with you. I think probably my strongest pick would be the Texans, just because as Lubie sort of said, I don't think CJ Stroud can play worse, and he
that's my thing.
Certainly would have to play better than he did in that game Monday night, because I'm not sure any quarterback. I mean, I think you could put me in there at quarterback and get a reasonable facsimile of what you got Monday night out of that position.
Our good friend PC on the chat line says it's going to be 0 to -20.
Sounds about right.
How is that even?
0 to -20.
They're going to play a football game. That's fun.
Is that a real thing? You didn't make that just up for PC? Because if it's 0 to -20, I don't even know if that's a real.
Yeah, how does that even? How do you?
But yeah, I'm very sad about the Hurricanes coming up now that I've been informed by ESPN that they have to play the greatest team in the history of college football.
Oh wow!
Coached by the greatest coach in the history, not just of coaching, but in leadership in general. Kurt Signetti, future world leader, because he's just that great and everything. I thought Miami might have a chance to win the game, but clearly the question is whether they'll lose by 60 or 70 points. So I'm very impressed by all of that, learning that Indiana is now good enough to actually be in the NFL playoffs.
Yes.
Not just the NCAA playoffs.
All right, we're going to come back with the professor. We'll have some analysis on the college game and also a big board for this week, and that's happening in just a moment. Now that.
The time.
8:34.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
If my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world has gotten a sugar now.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Again, set for a big board here and some analysis from the professor on the college football championship game. I'm wondering this. I was sort of a modest fan of certain radio stunts, so to speak.
Okay.
You had the typical ones. I was involved in one, although it really wasn't my idea. I just happened to be on the show where Don Cox locked himself in the studio when he was Cox on the radio. We were on I-95 FM station, now Big 105, I guess. What is it, 94.9? And
It's two.
so anyway, he locked himself in the studio, did one of those things where he was going to play Stairway to Heaven until they came in and renegotiated his contract. And, it was a stunt. Or you have guys that have sat on billboards and they're going to sit up there and they won't come down until the Cubs win a World Series or whatever. Which, but I think Lubie and I are going to have to pull this one. And the only other time I was involved in one personally that I can remember that was sort of along those lines was when I was challenged to go and do a one-on-one interview with Steve Spurrier, who I'd been ripping to shreds as part of being an enemy of the Gator Nation. And Spurrier was in town for a bowl game, I guess the Orange Bowl. And it was an opportunity to go down and get one-on-one interviews. And I was challenged by the guys on the show, in this case, Joe Rose, Steve Goldstein, to go there because they said I wouldn't have the balls to face him after the things that I'd been saying about him. Which
Did they think Steve Spurrier was going to beat you up or something?
Scary. Like, okay.
figured he was going to give me the treatment that I was expecting from many others over the years. Joe Philbin was another one that we thought was going to punch me in the face, and instead he loved it that he was being called Smoking Joe Philbin. So anyway, I'll never forget this. I go in. I don't really tell Spurrier who I am because I'm just going to get the sound bites and tell Joe Rose to stick it up his ass because I went down there and got this one-on-one with Spurrier, and I got ratted out. There was a guy here who was on TV named Ned Smith, who was an FSU guy, Lubie. And as I'm talking to Spurrier, he's telling the PR guy, "That's at the Forest guy. You ought to warn the coach." And so
an FSU guy ratted you out.
ratted me out, yeah, because he saw what I was going to pull. I was going to not identify myself, get the interview, and then go back and say, see, stick it, where the sun
Oh,
goes.
what a jerk.
Again, I don't know what they think Spurrier was going to do. Like, was Spurrier going to... Anyway, what, do we have a radio stunt going on here?
Well, Lubie and I are going to have to pull this one off, I think. Will we have to give, and this, I guess, is a prelude to your assessment, will we have to give Mario Cristobal a letter of apology and go down to his office and attempt to deliver this in person if he wins the national championship?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, all the big Canes fans, and I mean the fanboy types, and I started researching. I looked it up, and the fact is, historically speaking, outside of the FIU days where he just really had zero talent, like Mario Cristobal's teams don't screw the pooch in big games. It's always in games they should run away with or games they win that you get these Mario moments like you got against Georgia Tech. There was one against Cal in Oregon against a not such a great Cal team. I mean, historically, Mario's teams have actually shown up pretty big in big matchups. Now, again, they didn't have to play the greatest team in the history of history. And Fernando Mendoza, who is not just better than Joe Burrow, but so much better than Joe Burrow, that he managed to have the greatest season of all time. despite the fact that Joe Burrow in the same amount of games threw for 2,000 more yards and 19 more touchdowns and the same number of interceptions, and Joe Burrow had a higher completion rate. But from what Joey Galloway has told me, Fernando Mendoza is not only better, he's vastly better. So, that may be.
But we would have to admit he's not bad.
No, I think the kid is good. I just think, and Lubie and I had this conversation the other day. The conversation around Indiana since the first half, and look, I realized some of this was just they got up 35-7 at halftime, and announcers had to talk about something in the second half of the game, so they threw out is this the greatest team of all? But the conversation around Cignetti and around Indiana has gotten so ridiculous in the last 10 days or so that you can't really have a rational conversation about it without seeming like you're bashing Indiana.
Yeah, it's like annoying.
It's a team that doesn't get bashed. They've obviously done a great job, but the narrative that has now been crafted around them is ridiculous. Are they the greatest team of all time stuff? And greatest team of all time is a ridiculous.
I hate doing that.
It's a ridiculous conversation.
Yeah.
It's doubly ridiculous when you have changing circumstances, which obviously we've seen a ton of in college with the portal, with NIL, and mostly, as we saw in basketball last year with these 25-year-old COVID kids. If you want a comparison point for Indiana, it's not in the sport of football. It's Gator and Auburn basketball last year where they had a bunch of dudes who were like 23, 24, 25 years old. Were not really great pro prospects. They were all kind of marginal pro prospects. The Clayton kid ended up being like a mid-first round draft pick. But in the NBA, a mid-first round draft pick means like maybe you'll make the roster or maybe you'll end up playing Turkey. And they had dominant years largely because they were just veterans.
Freaking old.
Really what has gone on with this Indiana football team, because I mean you look at the the draft sites and whatnot, outside of Mendoza, they may not have another kid who gets picked in the first 3 rounds on that roster. But if you watch them, they're playing like All-Americans. I have to assume that part of it is the fact that, you're talking their average age of starter is 23 years old. It's actually because Indiana fans have been getting very fired up. It's 22.78 years old.
How is that possible? To average 23 years of age. The COVID
because of these COVID kids,
isn't it? Oh yeah, okay.
No. Again, they set the precedent with the COVID kids. They've been letting these guys having 5, 6, in some cases 7 years of college football. I think, and Indiana gets very upset about this. By the way, if you watch them on the internet, we only have 6 starting players who are super seniors. So 6 is a lot. Out of 22, 6 is a pretty big number. And again, I'm not saying this to slag Cignetti. What he has done there is historic, but it has created this narrative that he is the greatest coach, not just the greatest coach of all time, but he's so much better at scouting in the transfer portal that he's done something that no other coach in history would have been. He's better than Saban. He's better than Bobby Bowden. He's better than Joe Paterno. He's better than Bear Bryant. He's better than Pop freaking Warner.
You left out Stagg.
Yeah, he's
Stagg. Yeah,
they're going to have to rename the college football playoff into the Cignetti Bowl. Again, I don't doubt that this dude is a really good coach and that he has a really good eye for talent. You don't end up Saban's recruiting coordinator if you don't know what the hell you're doing. And on top of it, you have to. If you accept this narrative, you have to accept that not only is he a guru, he's a guru somehow at every position. Every coach we've ever seen, every great coach we've ever seen sort of had a specialty, right? Saban was a defensive backs guy. Belichick was a defensive backs guy and special teams guy. Jimmy Johnson was a linebackers guy, the speed guys that he turned into defensive ends. All these guys, but somehow Cignetti, it's offensive line, it's defensive line, it's quarterback, it's running back, it's wide. He's such I'm sorry, it's tough for me to buy the narrative that not only is this guy the greatest coach of all time, he's so much better than anybody else. He's the only one capable of this turnaround. I think we've gotten a little ridiculous in the last 10 days. And I will tell you, I think that's reflected in the point spread here. I don't think Indiana should be 8.5-point favorites in Miami's home field. Now, kind of seems like Mother Nature and God also agree, so they sent a cold wave so that it's more like an Indiana fall day. Would I prefer this game to be played in 95-degree heat with 112% humidity? Absolutely. But like I think what we've seen here is this public narrative people have gotten swept up in and now convinced that Indiana is 2019 LSU.
I know.
And okay, let's just say you think for a moment that Fernando Mendoza is Joe Burrow part 2. I don't happen to agree because, again, Joe Burrow was a high-end recruit who signed with Ohio State and happened to get caught in the wash with C.J. Stroud, whereas Mendoza was a 2-star who was headed, I think, for Princeton before Cal offered him a scholarship at the last minute.
It was like Yale. Yeah.
Was it Yale? Even
Oh,
worse.
it was one of the Ivies. He was
Okay.
going to Ivy
I
and
know
then
it was an Ivy. I didn't know it was Yale. So
he's
evil incarnate on top of
Oosh.
everything else. Let's say that even if you think he's Joe Burrow, he ain't throwing to Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson out there. He's throwing to, kids who are transferred from Division II schools. And again, I don't want to slag these kids. They've done an amazing job. But 29 LSU, 2001 Miami, 1996 Nebraska, or 1994 Nebraska, that Alabama team with Mac Jones and Smith. These kids ain't that. They're not those guys. I think the spread's too high. The only team that has hit Mendoza in the mouth all year long was Ohio State. Indiana did win that game, but they only scored 13 points doing it, and they didn't score in the fourth quarter.
And by all rights, should have. They had to miss all kinds of blunders there.
Ohio State missed the bunny field goal, and Ryan Day was a moron. And early in the game, went for it on 4th and goal from the 3 instead of taking the points. Again,
that game.
It was a very close game, and I think we could get another very close game, provided Miami doesn't do what Oregon did and actively, cut their own fingers off in the first half of the game with a bunch of moronic turnovers. And look, I watched that Oregon game, and I'm the first to say, although I came on here and said I didn't really have a strong feeling one way or the other in the game, I was on Oregon's side plus the points. I did say the over too, so that half came in. But again, if you watch that game, the pick 6 on the first play, was it 2 or 3 other just moronically unbelievable comical turnovers?
Yeah, they sent Dante Moore back to school.
Dante Moore was going to be the second
number 2 pick in the draft. Imagine it.
And decided to go back to the University of Oregon based on that game. If Miami doesn't do that, and look, is it possible it'll happen with Miami? Yeah, we all know Carson Beck has some bad moments, but if they don't do that, I think we're going to have a close slugfest of a game, and I kind of think the 8.5 is kind of ridiculous in this spot, to be honest.
All right, sounds good.
Not as ridiculous, by the way, as the ticket prices, which has been another one of the major stories this week.
We were talking about this last night. $750 to park a car.
Yeah, what are you doing?
That's crazy. Think about that.
And this is the other thing. I think we're going to have a lot of people who have never, who either coming down from Indiana or normally get good seats when they go to Dolphins and Hurricanes games. Yeah. We're going to discover those second level seats. Those are not good seats at Hard Rock.
No, you
people
can't.
Have been asking me, are you going to the game? I'm going to pay $7,000 for 2 tickets to go sit in the end zone in the upper deck. I've been in those seats. Those are not good seats.
You don't even want to be there. Yeah, you're more inclined to jump than watch the game.
If you're in the second row, the upper level, if you're not first 10 rows between the 30s, you're not in a good seat in that stadium. I think there's a lot of angry people.
Row ZZZ, section 408 is no place that you want to be.
That, and the other question I have, and you know this well, Defo, because we went through a Colts Super Bowl down here, which was, of course, played in a monsoon. And you wore that Saints shirt you got from the game for about 10 consecutive years. Where
great.
the hell did all people in Indiana get all this goddamn money? Like,
Yeah, crazy.
We were Super Bowl here like what 10, 15 years ago, and like everybody from Indiana was staying at the Red Roof Inn and eating at the Waffle House 3 times a day. Like, how the hell did the Indiana Hoosiers fans go to people who can afford $3,000 tickets and $750 for part? Is Mark Cuban standing at the state line passing out packets of $10,000 bills? Did John Cougar Mellencamp give away all his money to the people of Indiana? Like, where did the people from Indiana get all these money to be paying these prices?
And that's just the beginning. I mean, you're talking about 3,700, whatever, for nosebleed. There were tickets. Some report on TV had a ticket of some nature. I'm sure it involved a suite and maybe even a couple of sandwiches for $200,000.
Oh no, there's a better one than that. There was a skybox for sale for $1.1 million.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Wow.
It was 18 seats in the sky. It was an end zone skybox, by the way, which again is not the greatest seat in the world.
You can't see anything.
But the kicker was, for $1.1 million, 18 seats, you only got 2 freaking parking passes. Can you imagine? You're some guy who owns the biggest farm in Indiana, and you spend $1.1 million
9
on
people
the
per car
skybox for this game, and you got to go buy like 6 more parking passes at $700.
How does that work?
How nickel and dimed would you feel in that goddamn? Now I get it. Most people can afford a skybox, can rent a couple of them Hummer limos, and
so you're getting like a big ass thing.
God only knows here in the city of Miami, we have a lot of those stretch Hummer limos available for rent.
No doubt.
I get that, but like if you want to ask your buddy who lives in Fort Pierce, got a nice mansion in Jupiter or whatever, to come. Oh, by the way, you got to pay $750 for a parking pass if you're not right, because we only get 2.
My favorite means of transportation to a ball game there was always the Hooters bus back in the day. Champernere, who was one of the original founders there with Hooters, it was on. I don't know. It's surprising that none of the people that occupied the bus.
Now we've been talking about it. It's the $750 passes are the lots around the stadium.
That's inside.
And that's bad enough.
For like $250, I think you can go to one of the outside lots.
That's it. It's $250 for the outside lots, and if you've ever been in those outside lots since they redid the track for F1. That's like a 2-mile walk, and you got to go up
one and a half
bridges,
and
they're like those pyramids in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like they're like 300 steps to go up to do the crosswalk.
It was easier to traverse the Grand Canyon coming back up when it was 1,000 degrees. Yeah, no, it was no bargain.
$250, and you got to walk 2 miles to the goddamn stadium. Like it makes me miss the no blocky Orange Bowl.
Exactly.
Much preferred, even if you did get blocked. All right, we have to get to a big board. So inclined to take the points. Kane's, of course, in there with a shot.
Andy wants to know. Inquiring minds want to know, what do you do with the hedge with it being that ridiculous of a spread?
Can't. I'm riding with the Canes.
Screw it, right?
Like again, the money line's minus 325, minus 350. Where we go. It's the point in laying off and trying to hedge when you gotta lay 3.5 to 1.
Forget about it.
To do it. I am all Hurricanes Monday night. And, look, I'm going to be honest. I think they got a shot to win this game. I think if they can play the game they have played for the last couple months, they will have a shot to win this game. Sorry. I don't think Indiana's 2019 LSU. Maybe I'll be wrong. But I don't think it's going to be, again, unless I'm not going to say Miami, unless Carson Beck turns the ball over a bunch, I think Miami will be in this game.
All right. Very good. Big Born Professor, you ready to roll on one?
It is story, not NFL playoffs or not NCAA champ of the week, which is this college basketball point shaving scandal that broke yesterday.
I was hoping you'd bring that up.
Over 25 games, over 25 players, upwards of 30 games, some of which have been highlighted here. And I got to say, having read this indictment on the internet, having read some of the reviews by this indictment on the internet, like there are a couple of theories here that you'd have to go with. Number one, and there is a guy at the center of this named Shane Hennon, who, if you remember the last point shaving, the NBA player prop shaving that came out. What was that? A couple months ago, 3 months ago. He was at the center of this, and most people think he was the rat in the center of the NBA one who was involving the feds. So there is a theory out there that some of these bets were actually sort of a sting operation between the feds and the sports books to get these people. And this same guy is right in the middle of it. Or otherwise, you have to go with the basic theory that people who run sports books, despite the AI algorithms behind it, despite, experts on this, have just gone full retarded in terms of the bets they will accept. When you look at some of these schools and some of the amounts involved and some of the teams that we're playing, because let's just say we got some wild ones in terms of the money these people managed to get down on these games, and like how it didn't melt the computers when these bets started going is beyond me. So let's start, and this is the big board of notable bets in the basketball point shaving indictment. Again, we're going to get to where this all started, but mostly we're talking about small schools, and we'll just wanted to give you some examples of what's involved here. And we're going to start with number 5, which is $458,000 on Towson to cover against North Carolina A&T. So we have a Colonial Athletic Association game between sort of a mid-team in Towson and the bottom dweller. And it would appear Towson probably did cover this game, but managed to get $458,000 down on a ski AA game between a team that was 11-9 playing at home against a 5-18 team playing on the road. And somehow they got almost $500,000 on this game without the sports book saying, yeah, I think we're going to take this one off the freaking board. Like,
who would take this bet?
On this end of things, this seems kind of unlikely to me. If I get like 10 different guys calling in wanting to max bet 1,000 and then asking, are you going to adjust the line so I can get some more down? I'm going to get a little suspicious. I don't think
That's weird.
it's the Towson Booster Club calling in, wanted to fire 25 grand at Towson that night against North Carolina. And again, some of these spreads were kind of difficult to research, but I got to assume this is a fairly big freaking number because, again, the road team was 5-18 at the time.
Unbelievable.
$458,000 on Towson to cover against North Carolina. A game which I think they probably did cover. I think they ended up winning this game by 23. So unless the line was well beyond, rational thought, I assume they covered this number.
That's pretty incredible. Who's taking this action? What would be the question? And allowing those kind of amounts to be pouring in. Isn't there some kind of oversight?
It's wilder than that, Defo. But we're going to roll back to the one game that has been cited that involves major conference basketball. Because, again, got to throw some examples. These people got down upwards of $500,000 on Colonial Athletic Association games, which makes this next game we're going to discuss, stick out a little bit, which is number 4. The only major conference game that has been cited in this indictment, which was 30 grand on St. John's in the first half against DePaul, which makes me kind of wonder if maybe someone with some influence here said, maybe we shouldn't screw around with a Rick Pitino team. We don't want to, there's some people who hang out at the Italian restaurants with him who we don't want to piss off with this whole thing. Let's keep it calm and only go 30 grand on the St. John's game. Now, again, betting $500,000 on Towson in North Carolina A&T, but when you think you got the juice in St. John's, you only fire for 30. Makes me think we didn't want to piss off the Godfather.
And it makes perfect sense. Having had a few of those phone calls over the years and acquaintances. So that's a weird one, huh? This is one of the games that's part of this indictment.
It makes me think that someone went into the wrong, place in New York with their bet for 30 grand on St. John's, and someone locked the door and said, "Now you can't leave."
All right, these are some strange betting trends involved in this current mess. That's number 4. Don't mess.
And this one, honestly, I really want to know the bookmaker who took this freaking bet. because this one is just amazing. And by the way, as far as I can tell, they probably lost it, which is number 3, $424,000 on Kent
First
State's
half.
first half line against Buffalo. Now,
Oh my God.
again, the lines on this, we're going back a couple of years, a little bit difficult to research. But Kent State was 11-4 at the time. Buffalo was, I believe, 5-13 at the time. And it was only 24-20 at the half.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, since it was a home game for Kent State, this probably had to be more than 4 in the first half. I would probably guess that number was probably somewhere around 7 or 8.
Sure.
I'm guessing they lost. But who the hell do you have to be to take this bet when someone calls in? Like, I want 50 grand on Kent State in the first half against Buffalo. I want 50 grand on this random Thursday night or Friday night MAC game. Who's taking that action? Like, again, this is what makes me suspect this has got to be a sting between the feds and the sports book, because who the hell is coming in, or calling into their book and being like, you know what, like max bet Kent State in the first half.
Yeah, I got nothing really going tonight. I was supposed to have a date. She canceled, so I'm looking for some way to be entertained. How about 50 dimes on Kent State?
Even
First
Floyd
half.
Mayweather, when he was making those stupid fake tickets to promote the sports book, wasn't firing 100 grand at Kent State in the first half.
Exactly. Like, what are you doing?
First
and
half,
Floyd Mayweather was doing like 50 on WNBA games, and even he
Yes.
is like 424,000 on Kent State in the first half is just ridiculous.
First quarter over-unders in NBA basketball. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty strange. Nobody detected anything was up then at the time. Yeah, you're right. Your theory has tremendous credibility.
Again,
through these 3
this is
examples.
all computer analyzed, where, if 10 dudes across the country call in with max bets on lines like this, it's going to be instantly talked about. Like, you got to be kidding me with some of these numbers. I mean, you'd almost have to suspect that this was a sting involved, because otherwise, who the hell is taking this bet? But that's going to take us to our next one, which is another lower bet, but interestingly enough, was done in person, which was a $50,000 bet in a Kentucky casino on a Southern Miss Alabama A&M game that was played at Southern Miss.
Oh my gosh.
Which makes me wonder, was this the court that Brett Favre paid with stolen welfare money? Because, like, I was sitting there, well, no, that was a volleyball court, but then it hit me. How many arenas can Southern freaking Miss have? Like, it's got to be the same court and arena, right?
Right.
Like, they got to play volleyball and basketball in the same arena.
They got the markings on the court, which always annoyed me.
But another question here. What freaking casino in Kentucky is it normal to have someone come in and fire a $50,000 bet on a college basketball game? Where is this casino in Kentucky that even has the cash to cover that?
You can bet sports right at the Red Mile, which my friend was doing quite frequently when we were in. We got shut out of Keeneland one day, so it's pretty widespread there.
Was he coming in with 50 dimes to fire on a Southern Miss Alabama A&M game?
That would be a little surprising, you would think. And like you say, I mean, when we were trying to explore that prop about the Katy Perry first song to open up the Super Bowl, you're going to put limits on some of this stuff. I doubt you're going to let somebody bet 50. Yeah.
Again, particularly if the game is being played on Brett Favre's stolen welfare money court. Just anything that takes place on that court is automatically suspicious, right? Again, forget Brett Favre. Let's remember that the other guy involved in that scandal was Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Like, if you're betting 50 dimes, if you're betting 50 dimes on anything involving Ted DiBiase, didn't you see those wrestling skits back in the 80s where he'd offer a kid $100 to dribble a basketball 10 times and then kick the basketball away after 9? Like, you got to know something's going on if the $1 Million Man is involved. Didn't you ever see him wrestle? It's always throwing shit in people's eyes and then kicking them in the balls. Like,
Very suspicious victory over the Iron Sheik, as I recall.
Right, exactly. Like if Ted DiBiase's involved, I'm not booking that bet in the most tangential way. If Ted DiBiase's, I got to pass on this action. I'm sorry. Seen the guy wrestle too many times to book this bet.
After all of this, what could possibly top the list?
Oh, you're gonna love this because if you've not read the full story, this all started not with NCAA basketball. This all started in
Australian
the
rules football?
Chinese basketball league at a $168,000 bet.
Guangdong.
Guangdong.
Southern Tigers.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Who, by the way,
Andy was talking about betting Chinese basketball just last night. I think he had. He said,
who, by the way,
you
if
know,
you're wondering what American players are on the Guangdong Southern Tigers, the notable one is Jared Sullinger, former Ohio State and Boston
Jared
Celtics.
Sullinger is in this league?
Jared Sullinger is playing for the Guangdong Southern Tigers. They're in third place, so I suppose maybe they're behind the Northern Tigers. Like I don't know what actually I did look it up. There's like 4 different teams named the Dragons. There's like the Golden Dragons, the Northern Dragons, the Flying Dragons. Everybody's named the freaking Dragons. But yes, this all started with $168,300 on the Guangdong Southern Tigers. That for those of us who lived through COVID, who were trying to, Australian rules football and the Korean baseball organization and the Bundesliga and couldn't get down more than, $500 on any game in any of these things. How the hell did you get $168,000 on Chinese basketball? And what time of the day were you at some casino at 2:00 in the morning? Go, you know what? The Southern Tigers are about to tip off. Let me get $168,000 down on the game between them and the Dragon, or the Taiwan Beer League back in the day. Like again, I don't know what the hell is going on, but somehow $168,000 on the Guangdong Southern Tigers.
I don't know that surprises me. Just from my basic observations around any casino where you see a large contingent of Asian.
I don't care how
spending
big
it, spending it on anything.
I don't care if you're at the Bellagio. I don't care what sports book you're in. If some guy comes in and fires $168,000 on the Guangdong Tigers, yeah, I'm going to be surprised. That would be freaking shocked. $168,000 is probably more than the entire roster makes per game. Guangdong Southern Tigers. So yes, if I see some rando come in off the street and fire $168,000 on the Chinese basketball game, may not surprise you. It would shock the hell out of me, Defo.
Do we know if they covered or won?
I have no idea. Well, that part wasn't covered. I assume they lost because all the players indicted seem to be on losing sides here. So apparently someone on Guangdong was shaving points.
Yeah.
They didn't actually, unlike the other games, they didn't actually specify this bet and who it was against. So I have no idea even what year. This was just apparently the first bet in the chain was Chinese basketball.
Can't even go to a Guangdong game and assume it's on the level.
You can't even trust the Guangdong. If you can't trust the Guangdong Southern Tigers, who the hell can you trust?
Excellent stuff, as always. Great research done there, Professor. Thank you very much. Go Canes, I'll say. I don't want to jinx them. I will not text you it's over after the first snap.
And I do not want to see Ted DiBiase anywhere near the freaking stadium. Or Brett Favre, for that matter. Honestly, I really do want to know who the hell is funding all these Where did people in Indiana get this kind of goddamn money? Like,
it's insane.
$3,000 for the upper levels of Hard Rock Stadium.
It's not a pleasant experience. I mean, if you're parking on one of those outside lots, right, we had freebie tickets, 40-yard line, 50-yard line, actually, for the Gator game that we went to. And I literally sort of lost interest in going again for any situation. I would rather go to like a Virginia Tech game where there's 22,000 people and watch the game like that.
Lubie and I sat in these seats a few years back, 5 or 6 years probably at this point. Lubie hooked us up with media tickets in the end zone. What were we, Lubie? Probably 20 rows up, 25, something like that. We lasted like a quarter because
you can't see anything. Yeah.
At the other if the game wasn't in your end zone at like the 3-yard line, you had no clue what the hell was going on. Like it is not a pleasant experience. People paying $3 grand and up
Crazy to
for
be
these
tortured.
tickets are going home very angry with themselves for having spent
You put on
this
your
kind of
tombstone,
money.
I was there. Yeah, exactly. All right, Professor. I think I sent you that thing like a week ago. I hope
You
you
did.
have.
I got it.
Okay, good. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes here. And thanks so much, as always,
Thanks,
for being with
Dominic.
us, the Professor, ladies and gentlemen. Professor. Good stuff. All right, Lubie, thank you. Always a pleasure. We'll see you later on. And everybody, we'll catch you on Monday. It should be a great weekend. Professional football. For my money, in terms of betting, especially, virtually all toss-up games. That tells you a lot. That's some deep.
Yeah, it should be good games. Should be good
But
action.
I couldn't tell you with any real conviction or any level of certainty. Oh, well, I think the Broncos-Bills toss-up, 49ers with the points certainly seems possible, but Seattle could beat them by 10 just as easily. Pats, I think, are being underestimated, but the Texans, as the professor said, they can't offensively perform any worse, and still they ended up with 2 defensive touchdowns to put 30 points on the board. And the Bears, wow, how do you go against them with what they've done? You figure glass slipper syndrome again, Lubie? The luck runs out finally against the Rams, who can score, but I don't know. I mean, in Chicago, that game becomes a rough proposition. So toss-up games, and that always makes it a lot of fun. Let's hope it's not like that Guangdong game where somebody's shaving points. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
Guangdong. Give me 50 grand on Guangdong. That is where you get to go. Hey, Mo, come on out here. At the sports book. I did it right there at the desk. It's 9/11.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my